Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Joe. Welcome to recap number 72. 72. This one's super late. Usually we're faster on the recaps than this, but busy. So what are you going to do? First up, Champions, World Class Soccer. It's not the most frustrating soccer game we've played. We've played quite a few at this point, and most of them aren't great. A couple of them are at least playable at best, but this one was a bit on the rough end. Passing the ball was very difficult. Kicking a goal was just as hard. The goalies were fairly decent, AI controlled, so you can see right there, dude just leaned down and grabbed it. The graphics were okay. The sound was fine. Music was okay. Gameplay semi okay. This got a double thumbs down. Neither I or Joey liked it. No one's shocked by that realization. Next up, Fatal Fury 2. This was a fighting game. We played Fatal Fury a good long while ago, and I think we gave that a thumbs up because it was a Street Fighter clone, basically. And the big thing about Fatal Fury is it's kind of a Street Fighter clone, but you have two planes. You can bounce back and forth, kind of the background and then the foreground to fight. And as such, I think it works out just fine. There is a limited character selection. I have no idea what on earth just happened in this clip that I pulled from our video. Apparently, I switched back to the box art for some reason for a second. The moves are a little bit more esoteric than the Street Fighter moves. A lot of them seem to have a few extra like directional pad presses or some such, but the graphics are good. The sound and music is good. The gameplay is fine. It's solid still. It's just as good as a Street Fighter. Maybe not just as good, but it's good. Fatal Fury 2, we both gave a thumbs up to. Like in terms of good fighting games and Street Fighter style clone or Street Fighter style fighting games, Fatal Fury is one of the better ones. Next up was Dungeons and Dragons: Eye of the Beholder. This is a port from an MS-DOS game in the early 90s. In fact, I think the MS-DOS computer game for this one came out in like 1989 or something, and it got ported to the Super Nintendo in 1994. And it shows. It's rough. It's not a turn-based game, so it's kind of a real-time movement turn. You know, you might be getting attacked and not even kind of realize it. But it is AD&D, so you do get to pick your class and kind of roll up their stats to an extent. You get to pick up the items, switch which hand, cast the spells, equip your dude. So there's a lot of AD&D here, but the graphics and presentation are pretty poor. This does have Super Nintendo mouse support, which I think would improve gameplay dramatically. But in the end, as much as I love D&D, I don't love it in a video game format. I don't know. At least not old video game format. I recall Neverwinter Nights fondly on the PC from the early 2000s. And that was a great D&D formatted video game. But this one's just, it's not great. It's hard to look at. The music is looped. I mean, the music in pretty much every video game back then is looped, so it's not an enormous complaint on that part, but it wasn't great. And the gameplay was rough, you know. You can see the movement options there, so you could strafe left or turn, but you can't see what's to the left of you unless you turn, which is kind of a pain in the nuts. And then as you move through the dungeon, in your view screen there, it's very similar to Shadowgate from the NES. Sometimes there are things on the walls or on the ground that you have to reach out and click on just like that right there, and you'll pick it up. And then you have to go into somebody's inventory and give it to a specific person, and it's just real lengthened out and not worth playing. We both gave this one a thumbs down. Next up is Dream TV. This is a platformer. Two kids, you get sucked into a TV by a malevolent bad guy who is like, haha, you have to play these basically TV shows. I mean, they're different. The different levels are different settings. It would be like TV shows. So there's like medieval and Western and sci-fi. I played this for 45 minutes and could not get past this level. Period. I went back and like we found like the furthest edges of this level, from the left to the right, through the door to the up to the down. Could not figure out how the hell to progress in this game. There are no game facts. There are no cheat codes. There's nothing. And the game doesn't look great. It doesn't sound great. And it doesn't play great either. Bad input lag. That's a fact. And it's supposed to be a 2-player co-op game. So as single player, you can switch between the characters. As co-op, you would both be on the same screen. It would split screen you, one guy on top and bottom. So you could be in different parts of the level. Or if one guy says, hey, I need you, you could run over to the other level, which is great in concept, but I was playing it by myself, and it just sucked. And you don't really have an option. You can see the second player on the screen back there, because there is a section in here where there's a teeter-totter where a guy has to stand on one end and the guy has to jump on the other one to launch you up in the air to get to a platform. So you don't have any choice but to switch between these guys. And that platform specifically drops balls down it constantly. So as you're switching back and forth between your guys to get up to that like one of them's taking damage. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's just no way that you as a single player switching back and forth is fast enough to avoid it. That's a hard thumbs down. This is not a game worth looking up ever. Don't do it. Next up, Joe and Mac 2, Lost in the Tropics. This was disappointing. Joey and I really enjoyed the first Joe and Mac as a 2-player cooperative platforming game. It was great. This one continues the same look and feel in general. The graphics are beautiful. The sound and presentation in music is good. The gameplay is fucked. So the first Joe and Mac was hard. No problem with the game being hard. But this one had a lot of bull to it. So basically, every time you picked up a power-up, it would give you a different weapon. And you really didn't get a choice about not picking it up. Like, it was just kind of like you had to pick it up and find out what it was. And if I recall, those weapons were all very limited. Like, they would go away eventually. And then there was just a lot of cheap, annoying death in this game. The overworld map was kind of cool, but we weren't, the first one was really good, and this one we just did not enjoy, which kind of sucked. We were disappointed in it. I mean, it is what it is, but I got nothing better than that. And being, a sequel, I think the game is fairly valuable, but just not good. Painfully so. So Joe and Mac 2 got 2 thumbs down, sadly. But that's it. One game in this whole set of 5 got thumbs up. But for Recap 73 coming up sooner rather than later, out of the 5 games we're playing for the 73rd set, 3 of the 5 are beat-em-up games. And so I'm betting 3 of the 5 are going to be thumbs up because we love a beat-em-up. And that's it. So thanks for joining me for recap number 72. I appreciate everybody. I want y'all to have a good one. Peace out. Later.